sure. Conor's been around for a long time in the UK scene. Where am I looking? Am I looking at you or am I looking at the camera? Look at you? Okay. Conor's been around for a long time in the UK scene and fighting in well-known promotions, and I don't know. How do we know? Listen, we know if a fight makes if there's a fight on camera, we've probably seen it between the two of us. And with Conor's personality, he stands out in a crowd. Not only speaking, but his fighting stands out as well. So I've known about him for a good amount of time.
The good thing about a Conor McGregor is there are a lot of talented fighters out there, but it's difficult. I mean, if you look at Anderson Silva, who many say the most talented MMA fighter ever in MMA, and he came in his first UFC fight, he fought Chris Lieben, who everybody knew him from The Ultimate Fighter. Everybody knew he was really tough, great chin, knockout power, and Anderson wrecked him. But it still took a long time for people to embrace Anderson Silva, as supremely talented as he was. Now, every now and then, you'll get this guy, could have one UFC fight, and there's something about them people just grab onto. It's like, that guy. I love that guy. And it helps when that guy can also fight. So that's with Conor McGregor. You have a guy who, yes, he's an excellent fighter, but he has a charisma to him that people have instantly taken a liking to him. But it'll be interesting because that also puts a lot of pressure. You don't get to build yourself in the shadows, in the background, work your way up. Already, everybody's aware of him, and they're like, we want to see this guy in big-time fights.
It's everywhere. I mean, his intention is becoming the champion, and it doesn't matter where we fight him. He's going to fight everybody. He's going to fight the best. He had been fighting in the UK for a long time. He had quite a win streak, but I think the fight with Dave Hill, who's a very good grappler. He's obviously Conor's known for his hands and his kicking ability, but I don't think he gets the credit he deserves as a grappler. He fought Dave Hill and did very well. In fact, finished him with a submission, which for me signaled, I think, that he's ready to come in. But you don't want to take guys too early, and you want to let them grow outside of the UFC, because here there's only tough fights, and it's difficult to grow. You get dumped into the deep end of the pool immediately. So that fight, and then he had a fight after that, I think it was against Bushinger, and became 2-divisional champion in the UK. And for me, that signals he's absolutely ready for, to come in. He comes in, he fights a guy on a 3-fight win streak, and just, demolishes him, and looks every bit as good as I thought he would. But people still question, does he have grappling? Does he have wrestling? And I know John Kavanaugh. He comes from Kavanaugh's camp. Kavanaugh's a fantastic grappler. He trains with Gunnar Nelson. He trains with a bunch of other good grapplers. So I don't think and at least in my mind, there's no question that he's ready for anybody that I throw against him in the octagon. No, absolutely not. I mean, I think every fight is a test for each fighter, but you're just expected, if you want to. Here, there's no moving around, guys. You have to fight pretty much anybody we say, because again, the whole idea is to find the best fighter in the world. And if you're going to be that guy, you're going to have to fight everybody eventually.
He's actually a guy you have to rein in. After he won his UFC debut, I had a dropout at 155, and all of a sudden, publicly, he's lobbying for that fight. Dana White, put me in that fight. I'll take it. And we're like, whoa, calm down. There's a plan. Jumping weight classes and all, you have to do that. There's no doubt in my mind that he would do it, and that he's tough enough to do it. But you actually had to calm him down and go, hey man, let's stick to one weight class and keep moving along in there. But fans love that. Dana loves that. When you have a guy who really genuinely is ready to fight anybody at any time, he has that confidence in himself. People love that.
And there is a progression to it. It's not like he's going to come in and fight Aldo straight away. That wouldn't be fair to him. It certainly wouldn't be fair to Aldo. So he does have to prove himself. And he is going to get fights with people that are on his, so to speak, his talent level at the time. We just don't know how good he is yet. He might be the best in the world right now, but we don't know. and he's got to earn his place. There's a lot of guys that are at the top of the food chain and his division that have proven themselves over 4 or 5 years being here. He's not that yet. Could he jump the line with his performances? Absolutely.
Well, I mean, that's the kind of thing that we're looking for. It makes our job easier if you can have, like I said, talented guys, but guys that fans will get behind, guys that get people pumped up. That's a great thing to have. It's interesting, too, to hear from the other fighters who've been in the UFC longer in his weight class where they're not happy. Why is this guy getting all this attention? I've been here, I've paid my dues, everybody's talking about Conor McGregor, so it'll be interesting. There's a lot of guys who wouldn't mind trying to knock him off, but you want that. You want people, it's a good lesson to everybody else. If you want the big money, you want to get raises, go out there, get the fans, engaged, get them saying, I will pay money to see that guy fight, and then you'll get more money.
And it is rare to have somebody come in and to have the guys at the top of the weight class talking about him when it's really Conor that should be talking about the guys at the top of the weight class. Most of the time, most guys at the top, they don't know the new guys coming in anyhow. And it's usually, I'll talk to them and say, hey, what do you think about so-and-so? They're like, I have no idea who this guy is. He's even fighting for the UFC. Where Conor, he made a splash coming in immediately, and the guys higher ranked are now talking about Conor, which that's a very rare thing. So he's on everybody's radar. It's a very rare. We have 400 guys in our contract, and fighters just have usually enough time to worry about themselves, or the guy who they think is a competitor to them for the next title shot at the top of the food chain. So it is very rare for somebody to come in, not even have his first fight yet, and the guys near the top are already talking about it.
Yeah, because usually we'll have one or the other. We've had plenty of brash people. We've had people come in and talk a lot of shit, but quite often those people don't do well. It's a rare thing when, we say all the time, it's like, do you think in boxing that they just forgot about Muhammad Ali? It's like, crap, that's what we should have been doing all this time. Muhammad Ali, why don't we get a guy who's the best fighter in the world and just happens to have an awesome personality and can sell tickets? Well, of course, that's what everybody wants, but it's just a rare combination to get the two. You usually either have goofball performers, like, yeah, he'd be great acting in an MMA movie. He can talk the talk, but he can't walk the walk. Or you have guys who are great fighters, but they're quiet and they're humble. They don't put themselves out there. For whatever reason, they just don't make that connection. So to get those two things in one package, it's every promoter's dream. But now he's still early. But it's going to be fascinating. Even if you're a skeptic, you want to know, how will this turn out? I want to follow the story. There's people who want to see it because they think he'll be the next big thing, or there are people following it because they want to see him fail. But either way, love me or hate me, just don't ignore me.
I think the one good thing that is an obvious standout now with Conor, and it's one of the most difficult things to wrangle in the UFC, is the pressure. Obviously, he puts more pressure on himself by doing the things that he's doing and saying the things that he's saying. And so far, where so many fighters have failed their first time out, Conor's doing incredibly well. And I think that's actually his best attribute right now, is his ability to focus even when there's all that pressure on him. So that's, for me, stand up so far, ability to handle pressure. We'll see going forward whether when he gets higher and higher up the food chain, how he handles that as well.
When his original opponent, Andy Ogle, pulled out, did you have any trouble?
Well, here's the thing with Ogle, is that people were saying, oh my God, you can't give him Andy Ogle. Andy Ogle is incredibly difficult to finish, and he's a guy that stylistically comes at you, straight at you, and wants to grapple with you. He's not going to stand around and let Conor, tee off on him. So that was in my estimation, that was a very big hurdle for him to get over. And does he even have a possibility of finishing Ogle, let alone, beat him? So I thought that was a really good matchup. Ogle goes out. Actually, Holloway asked for this fight. They came at me and said, hey, we would love to take the fight with Conor. And it's a completely different matchup. Conor went from going to really probably grappling or at least being anti-wrestler his whole match, to now going in there to a guy who really wants to stand with him. And when it comes to Holloway, he's had a little bit of trouble with maybe one fighter standing his entire UFC career. Nobody's really been able to outstrike him yet, and he's gone in there against talented kickboxers and really had his way with them. So this becomes a completely different fight, but now Conor is fighting a guy who's a proven high-level kickboxer in a big pressure situation. So I think he can grow from this fight as well. It's a different fight, but I think it'll be a more fan-friendly fight.
If Conor can finish matches, do you think he could be even in a place to main event the card in Europe, or maybe even in America?
Sure, I think anything's possible with Conor. I think that, yeah, it's possible he can main event. Let's see what happens. Everybody wants to put the cart before the horse with Conor. Let's see. I think it'll be a great fight, but again, I'm trying to bring him along slowly. I know he says that he's a wolf, but I don't want to throw him to the wolves too early again. And on paper, I want to put guys who have about the same amount of experience as him, and we'll see. Who knows? He could go in here and knock out Holloway, demand a top 5 fighter. The place goes bananas. He looks like he deserves it. It's a possibility.